What if you could meet your spirit guides in just minutes, not after years of meditation, not with complicated rituals? Think of it kind of like opening a door that you didn't realize was already there, not like some kind of test that you have to pass. Because you see, the truth is that connecting with your guides is far easier than most people realize, and you'll begin to see how natural it feels when you open yourself to their presence. So here's the journey we're going to take together today. First, we'll begin with a simple experiment so that you can notice the subtle ways your guides may already be touching your energy. Second, you'll discover who your different guides are, the unique roles they play, and how they step in at different moments of your life. And third, you'll be guided into a deeper experience where you can actually feel the presence of the guide who's reaching out to you right now. See, this isn't about ideas or theories. It's about you opening that door and experiencing spirit for yourself. Because when you learn your guide's signature, what it feels like, everything gets easier. You gain clarity because you can tell what's real and what's imagination. You feel comfort because you recognize a loving presence all around you. And you feel a sense of belonging because you know that you're no longer doing life alone. See, your confidence grows because you can invite a guide in and you notice the shift. And you finally know which guide is stepping forward so you can actually ask the right one for the right help. But if you skip this, then the cost becomes real. You keep second guessing yourself. You miss the gentle signs that were meant to reassure you. You feel cut off when guidance was actually nearby, and you stay stuck in the loop of, well, which one is with me? Rather than moving into the peace of knowing. So today's practice ends the guessing and starts the knowing. Hey there, and welcome to the Spirits Beside Us podcast, where we explore real ways to connect with the other side without fear, without doubt, and without doing it alone. I'm Chris Lippincott, bestselling author, international medium, and spiritual teacher. I help spiritual seekers just like you how to hear from or communicate with your spirit guides and your loved ones in the afterlife so that you can gain healing and comfort and you can feel guided, grounded, and truly at peace. You see, it's my mission to raise the vibration of humanity by helping you remember that spirit is closer than you think. So let's dive into today's episode because if spirit has been trying to reach you, it's far time that you finally knew it. So here's something important to remember. Spirit doesn't shout, it actually whispers. Their energy is subtle, so subtle it can actually be difficult to detect sometimes. Even if you've heard me talk about this before, I always find it's worth coming back to because these tiny signals are really easy to miss. You might notice it as a tingle on your skin, maybe a warmth on your chest, or a cobweb-like brush in your cheek. But sometimes it's not even physical at all. It's actually a sudden image in your mind, or maybe a faint scent, or just a clear sense of presence that comes out of nowhere. See, spirit presence often arrives unprompted. It lingers and responds when you ask it to step in. So think of it kind of like tuning a radio. Your guides already know the station. We're just learning how to tune that dial so that we can pick it up more clearly. And in just a few minutes, you'll get to experience connecting with your guides for yourself. So let's try a tiny test right now. Just pause for a moment and close your eyes if that's safe to do so. Take one slow, gentle breath in and out. Now simply notice, does any spot on your body feel just a little different? Maybe a little tingle in your arm, or perhaps a gentle pressure at the crown of your head, or maybe a sudden warmth in your chest, or even a coolness across your cheek, maybe. It might be so subtle that maybe you just totally ignore it. But whatever you notice, even if it feels small or fleeting, just name it silently to yourself. Maybe like, I feel that warm chest or that cool cheek or tingle on my hand. Just the naming locks it in. So if you don't feel anything, that's also a result. See, this isn't about forcing, it's about noticing. This tiny glimpse is the same kind of subtle signal you'll expand on in the fuller experiment just a little bit later. But let me ask you, have you ever felt a random tingle or a sudden brush on your arm or maybe a shift in the air that just didn't make any sense at the time? Now, what if that was one of your guides already trying to get your attention? All right. Now that you've had a taste of how subtle your guide's energy actually can be, let's look at who these guides actually are. See, most people have one main guide who's been with them for their entire life. Actually, I should say, through most of their lifetimes on the earth. And that person's almost like a best friend on the other side who knows your soul's journey better than anybody else. But you see, you're not just limited to one. You also have an inner band of 5 to 7 lifelong guides who stay with you through most of your life. And each one has a different role. Some protect, some teach, some bring healing, and some lift your joy. And all of them are directed by one master guide who manages the entire team. And what's powerful about today's test is that whichever guide is most relevant for you right now is likely to be the one who steps closer. So whether it's your master guide, your teacher guide, your healer, or maybe your joy guide, you're about to discover who is reaching out at this moment. So imagine that your guides are gathered around you right now. Do you sense your master guide stepping forward to lead, maybe? Or perhaps it's your teacher guide nudging you toward growth. Or perhaps it's your healing guide surrounding you with care and healing. Or perhaps it's just your joy guide lifting up your spirits and you feel fantastic. Notice which part of your life feels most in need today, because that's often the guide who leans in the closest. Have you ever felt a random tingle, warmth, or a brush of energy and just dismissed it? So what if that was actually your guide trying to reach out? You see, when I was a young boy in Connecticut, I felt and experienced similar sensations we were just looking at in our mini test. However, to an impressionable 6-year-old boy, those little sensations didn't feel magical at all. In fact, they felt scary. See, I'd lie in my stomach trying to fall asleep, and sometimes I'd feel this pressure on my back. Definitely a person's hand. But thing is, there was no one near me. I didn't have any siblings, and my parents were at the other end of the house, minding their own business. Because I had been fed a steady diet of scary stories and movie, my first thought was, is that a monster? And see, the air around me would change, and my imagination would just start to race. I'd hear creaks, and of course, I'd assume the worst. Other nights, I'd wake up with goosebumps all around me, but it wasn't cold. They were like tiny bubbles of energy popping along my skin, moving from my shoulders down my arms. In fact, I can feel it right now. Instead of thinking comfort, my younger self thought threat. I pictured shadows under the bed or something outside the window coming for me. See, I was a kid. My brain just went straight to monsters. Even as I got older, the fear didn't entirely vanish. You see, in my teens and early adult years, I remember sitting in a room by myself and feeling that same presence. Only now I labeled it as a scary ghost instead of a monster. Still, not a loving sensation. I'd tell myself not to be ridiculous, but the soundtrack of Hollywood just made it hard not to jump back to a worst-case scenario. See, I'd bolt the door, turn the lights on, and try to convince myself it was nothing. But those sensations kept coming back. And they weren't behaving like the things I feared. They weren't aggressive or frightening in a sustained way. Often they were oddly calm now. And then came a turning point at home. As an adult, I started trying simple meditations, just a few minutes in the evening or weekend to sit quietly. And one weekend, while I was in my man cave, of course, every guy's got to have his man cave, right? I was there and I felt that familiar tingle on my arm. And my first impulse was panic. Oh no, is that a ghost? Because of course I'd been primed by late night movies and childhood fears, so that old story just raced back in. But I had also learned slowly to test things rather than flee from them. I was taught to be more discerning. So, half curious and half skeptical, I breathed, softened my tone, and I just said quietly, if you're here, please step in so I can know your signature. Who are you? Then something shifted. The warmth spread softly like the memory of a hug. It didn't feel predatory. It felt like someone gently leaning in to help. Then I said, okay, now can you please step back so I can feel the difference in your energy? And quickly the sensation eased off, almost immediately. That on and off contrast, the arrival and step back, was different from anything my imagination or my fear could manufacture by itself. See, my fear had told a story of monsters, but the actual presence replied with tenderness. And over time, I learned to test more carefully. I noticed that the sensations that used to terrify me, the pressure, the tingles, the sudden images, often came with a feeling of safety, especially if I set the intention for the highest love and light. What I'd mistaken for evil was, in many cases, a loving presence trying to get my attention. But of course, I just kept on interpreting it through the lens of fear. But once I consciously invited only the energy of love, my mindset and the tone changed. The same energy that once provoked panic became a source of comfort. Now, you see, I'm telling you all this because I know exactly what it's like to be frightened or even just confused by your own experiences. I also know how easy it is just to assume the worst when you really don't have a frame for what's actually happening or going on quite yet. Because you see, for years, I was caught between two voices. One voice that said, run, and the other that said, it was kind of quiet, just test. And the testing, invite, notice, ask to step back, that's what eventually told me the truth. It wasn't monsters or evil ghosts, it was help. Loving presence, guides who, when asked respectfully and safely, would always respond. So when we run this test today, remember two things. First, fear or confusion can actually be just normal. It can be a total human reaction. Doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. And second, your guides will generally respond differently than that scary sensation you remember from the movie. You see, they engage with gentleness and love. They show up and they step back. That contrast is your confirmation. And of course, if it worked for me, that spreadsheet guy who used to work on Wall Street, who always needed proof, it can absolutely work for you. The exact same subtle signatures that I worried over as a child and later tested as an adult are the ones you'll practice noticing in a few minutes. They may surprise you with how tender they are when you set the intention for love and light. Now, before we move into the experiment, have you ever had a moment that kind of scared you at first, but later turned out to be something kind or helpful? What happened? And consider the possibility that maybe it was your spirit guides essentially tapping you on one of the shoulders saying, hey, it's just us, and we're here. We're just trying to help you. Okay, so a quick note before we begin. If you joined us last week and already did this basic step in, step back test, this practice will actually deepen and clarify the results you got. If you missed last week's experiment from the episode titled 3 Unique Signs That Your Spirit Guides Are Reaching Out to You, then you should certainly listen to that episode as well. Either way, this is about identifying which guide is reaching out to you right now, what their energy feels like, and then asking for a tiny confirming sign. Okay, let's take a moment first just to ground together. And wherever you are, find a comfortable seat. If you're driving or walking or involved with something, just listen to the practice for now and stay with me because there's lots to talk about in this episode. See, you can always come back and do this exercise later when you're more available. So right now, I just invite you to close your eyes. Definitely close them if it's comfortable. Place your feet flat on the floor if you can, and let your hands just rest comfortably on your lap. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and exhale softly through your mouth. Again, breathe in and let go. One more time, breathe in gently, hold and release. Each time feeling your breath, breathing in peace and exhaling anything that no longer serves you. And as you breathe, imagine roots extending from the bottoms of your feet down into the earth, anchoring you deep, steady, and safe. Feel yourself supported by the ground beneath you, connected, stable, and ready. You are safe, you are grounded, and you're ready for the connection. Now soften your shoulders and allow your breathing to soften. Let your thoughts float away and just relax. Now begin to focus on the feelings that you're experiencing, what you sense in your space, and what energy you feel are nearby. Now with soft intention, begin to scan for the quality of the presence that's closest to you. Not the location yet, just the quality. Is the feeling more like peace or courage or playful joy or steady protection or maybe gentle guidance? Don't force an answer. Just lightly sense which one resonates the most in your body or maybe your mind. Name that quality silently. peace, courage, calm, whatever fits. Let's sit in silence a few seconds to really sense that quality. So, what quality do you begin to notice first? Peace, courage, playfulness, protection? If nothing's clear yet, that's fine. Place your hand over your heart and just ask, which quality do you bring? Wait a moment and note the first single word impression that comes. So, what word just floats to your mind first? Don't analyze it, don't think about it, just note it. Now, notice where the quality sits in your body, maybe your chest, your throat, your head, right shoulder, belly, behind the eyes, or even more global, like all over. Is it surface level, like a tingle, or a deep, steady pressure? Name it out loud or in your head, the location plus the texture, like maybe warm right shoulder or steady root in the belly. Did the location match what you felt last time? Note any differences that you're experiencing. Okay, now we'll ask for a small, specific sign that's easy to notice and unlikely to be imagined. Say out loud or silently, if you're the guide who has been reaching out, please give me one clear symbol, a color, an animal, a simple image, or a simple word, or a tiny physical sensation. Then just release it. Ask for whatever kind of sign feels safe to you. Here are some examples you might toy with. Maybe it's a color like blue or gold, or an animal image like a bird, a fox, or a dog. Maybe it's a single word that just pops into your mind, or a small physical nudge. Maybe a tap on the shoulder, or a cool breeze on the cheek. And remember, these signs can be anything you want that feels right or meaningful for you. So let's sit in silence for a few seconds and ask for that sign. Now gently check in. Did anything pop in? Maybe an image, a color, a single word, or a really slight, subtle physical sensation. That's your confirming sign. If you receive nothing, you can ask once more for the sign and just be patient. If you did get something, write it down now. The exact word, the image, maybe the side of the body where you felt it. Was it one word? What was it? Just write it down. So now, to make this even more dependable, set the intention that the same symbol or sign will appear within the next 24 hours in your external world. Maybe in a song lyric or a walk or a dream or maybe just a random conversation. See, that external match is a powerful confirmation that the symbol belongs to that guide. See, if you receive maybe a color, look for that color today. If you received an animal, keep an eye out for that animal's image or even just a mention of it. Make a quick note in your phone or maybe in a journal so that you don't forget it. Now, slowly bring your attention back. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, come back to the room. And if you have a journal, write the confirming sign and the quality word that you felt. That small record starts to turn mystery into data. See, if you got a clear word, a color, or an image, hold on to it for the next 24 hours and watch for those confirmations. If you got nothing, that's fine. Just try again tomorrow with the same phrasing. See, the goal here is not to force proof, it's to collect consistent, repeatable signals that build confidence over time. So, what did you think that you'd notice first? A sensation, an image, or simply a feeling of presence? Did you feel the shift when you asked them to step back? See, that contrast, that's one of the most powerful teachers. So now take a moment and notice what just happened for you. Did you feel something strong, subtle, or maybe nothing at all? See, all of those are valid results. This isn't about passing or failing, it's about data. Your body and energy field are starting to learn how to recognize spirit's connection, and that takes practice. Remember, the most reliable indicator isn't the specific sensation itself, it's the contrast, the shift when you ask the guide to step back. If you noticed even the smallest change, a tingle that faded, a heaviness that lifted, a thought that dissolved, that contrast is your teacher. That's how your system learns the difference between your own mind and an external presence. Then you can understand that the subtle feeling is your guide. and more reliably connect with your guide in the future. So, whatever you experienced just now, strong, subtle, or seemingly nothing at all, that's still a result. It's not failure, it's data. If it was subtle, that's your starting point. If it was strong, that's your marker. If it was nothing, that's still useful because it gives you a baseline. See, every test that you conduct adds to your library of experiences. So, what was the very first thing that you noticed, even if it just seemed tiny? That first impression is often the truest. Now, here's your challenge for the week. See, for the next 7 days, set aside just 3 minutes each morning or evening, whatever suits you, and whatever feels the easiest. Use the same wording that you used today. I invite only my spirit guides of the highest love and light. Please step in so I may know your signature. Keep it short. 3 minutes is all it takes. Notice the sensation, the quality, the image, or the symbol that comes. Then, just as you did today, ask them to step back. Write down a single word in your journal. The clearest thing that you notice. Maybe it's warmth, maybe tingle, maybe just light. Don't overthink it. Just record the raw data. After 3 days, look back at your notes. Are there patterns? Maybe the same shoulder tingled each time, or maybe the same color showed up. By the end of 7 days, you'll have your own personal signature library of how your guides show up for you. That's powerful because it moves you out of guessing and now into knowing. Think of this as a series of daily tests. Each one adds more proof, more confidence, and more clarity about which guide is reaching out. How would your confidence change if, after just 1 week, you had your own personal dictionary of spirit guide signatures? Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, I hope that this was a useful experience for you today. If you found today valuable, please follow the show so you never miss an episode. If this test helped you, I'd love for you to take the next step and check out my episode titled 3 Unique Signs Your Spirit Guides Are Reaching Out to You. It's a perfect companion to what you just experienced today. And remember, each time you practice, you're building a personal dictionary of your guide signatures. That's how you move from doubt to knowing. And if your guide told you to quit your job and just start herding goats, well, maybe test that one a few more times first. Remember, testing is important. This is Chris signing off, sending you love and light. Bye for now.